I've worked with so many different populations. I've worked with people with disabilities, blind children, people with Alzheimer's and early stage dementia, women with cancer, survivors of torture and sexual trafficking, inner city youth, LGBT youth and families and adults. I haven't worked with the Fuller Brushmen, yes, or people who sell encyclopedias, but I've worked with many populations, and I am open to just about any population. I'm being glib. I'm thinking of a story of when I was working at the Missouri School for the Blind, and there was a boy who was a bully, and the other kids didn't like him, and I was struggling to find that affectionate space for him myself because of his behavior. And so we decided that we were going to make a piece called My Favorite Things, based on my favorite things, right? And because one of the little girls liked to sing that. So I believe in a theater of desire. If there's something somebody really likes to do, let's sort of head down that path and then see what the tributaries are. So he used to bully the other kids. Sometimes he would hit them, or he'd strike out at them emotionally or physically or verbally. And we were talking about our favorite times of the day. And he said his favorite time of the day was that in-between time. You know, most of the kids said, oh, my favorite time is recess, you know, it's snack time, right? He said it's that in-between time between day and night. And we did another round. Yeah, and I thought, wow, we've got a young poet, okay. And then we did another round, and we talked about a favorite item, right? And this was a facility that was primarily residential, but some kids came in, and he lived there. And I need to tell you that he was blinded because he was shaken as a baby. I know. It's, so no wonder he was angry, you know? And anyway, we're doing a round of favorite things, and people are talking about toys, and he said, my favorite thing is this silky shirt that I have, because it feels like a kiss. And his whole demeanor softened. He softened. I watched these kids who were blind soften. I saw their bodies change. I saw their faces relax. I saw them open themselves to him. I saw him open himself to the poet that he is. And I said, you're a poet, you're an artist, and I have something very special for you to do, and I want you to write some things for us. And then we played pirates, and they were back to being, I don't know, 5th, 6th graders again, you know, but he was happy to play, and he was aggressive in appropriate ways. And that's just one example. But I mean, I have dozens and dozens of examples where I see people's behavior change, where I see people start to listen to themselves differently, and to listen to each other differently, over and over. And that's one of the major reasons I stay with this work, which is very demanding and, frankly, both joyful and difficult. I was really pulled to theater, you know, and I was resisting it, you know, because I knew that it's a challenging life. If you do work that's unconventional. And even if you do work that's conventional in the theater, it's a challenging life, right? So I resisted it, but I was really pulled to it. And I was pulled to it because I wanted to be actively involved in a conversation. I wanted to live my life in a different way, with a different level of investment. So I founded this theater company in St. Louis, and so our mission was to put the principles of cultural diversity into innovative theatrical practice and to promote civic dialogue and engagement and related activities. So the first thing I did was make a political satirical review about the election called See How They Run, And it was broadcast on the local community radio station, and we had a woman playing Bush, the first, so that tells you how long ago this is, because of course we didn't have a woman running for president at that time. And then the next thing I did was kind of our breakthrough thing. It was called Some of My Best Friends Are, and it was the first piece of LGBT theater that had ever been done in Missouri. And it sold out every performance, and it was extended numerous times. And we collected thousands of signatures to repeal Missouri's sexual misconduct law, which was part of my agenda, was to call attention to that, which made it punishable by up to a year in jail and a big fine if you engaged in what were perceived as homosexual acts. And I moved on to abortion rights, you know, and I wrote a pro-choice, gender-reverse musical comedy about a teenage boy who gets pregnant, his first time out with the captain of the girls' field hockey team, he gets knocked up behind the, you know, the dumpster after the school dance. Anyway, I got death threats. Yeah, and I started to think, wow, you know, actually theater is more powerful than I realized. You know? And the reproductive choice stuff has been really, really hard, really hard. I've been involved in that struggle and in that fight and the belief of a woman's right to choose and make decisions about her own life and her own body, and I've done a number of pieces that deal with reproductive choice. And one of them was a dance theater piece that I made about the life of Emily Lyons, who was the abortion nurse who was badly injured when domestic terrorist Eric Rudolph blew up the clinic that she was working at. And we put this up 2 weeks after Dr. George Tiller was murdered in Wichita, and that was scary. That was scary. So those are some of the harder things, you know, but there are other things that counterbalance that are really pretty wonderful. Like watching people grow into themselves and seeing what it means to build community in a space, right? And watching people who are so marginalized realize their own creative capacity and what that means to them, and then what that means to the audience when they see it. And that has been the story of the Disability Project.